For 32 years, someone may have been hiding the truth about what happened to Julie Finley. Police believe fear or loyalty may have kept witnesses silent, but there is another possibility that makes this case even harder to forget. A man once claimed that he had heard a woman screaming inside a van near the place where Julie was found. He said he opened the van and heard her begging for help. Police desperately wanted to speak to that man, but never found him. Now, more than 3 decades after Julie was murdered, detectives have issued a fresh appeal. They believe one person, one memory, or one piece of information could finally reveal what happened on the final night of her life. Julie Finley was 23 years old and lived in Liverpool. On Friday, the 5th of August 1994, Julie was seen in the area behind the Royal Liverpool University Hospital. It was around 11 o'clock at night. According to police, Julie was speaking to an unknown white man. He was believed to be in his 20s or 30s with an average height and build. That was the final confirmed sighting of Julie alive. But another possible sighting was reported a short time later. During the early hours of Saturday, the 6th of August, a witness was near the Wheatsheaf public house in Rainford. At around 12:30 in the morning, the witness saw a young woman arguing with a man. The woman matched Julie's description. The witness said the man appeared to be trying to force her toward a white transit van. That detail has remained at the center of the investigation ever since. A woman in the darkness, a man beside a white van, and a witness who could not have known what would be discovered only hours later. That same day, a cyclist was traveling near the Rainford bypass northwest of St. Helens. In a field beside the road, the cyclist discovered Julie's body. She had been murdered. The location was only around 50 yards from the place where the woman matching Julie's description had been seen arguing with the man. The discovery transformed those brief sightings into possible evidence. Who was the man speaking to Julie behind the hospital? Was Julie the woman later seen beside the white van? Who owned or controlled that van? And why did someone choose that field? The investigation began immediately. Police tried to reconstruct Julie's final movements. They examined the places where she had been seen, searched for witnesses, and attempted to identify the men described that night. But the investigation soon produced another mystery. Shortly after the murder, a woman called the investigation team. She identified herself only as Tina and said she was Julie's friend. Tina reportedly told police that Julie had said she was going to meet a taxi driver from Prescott on the night she was murdered. Tina promised that she would contact the officers again, but she never called back. Police later made a public appeal for Tina to return. They believed she could hold information that was vital to understanding Julie's plans that night. There is no public evidence proving that the taxi driver was involved in Julie's death. The importance of Tina's call is much simpler. If Julie had arranged to meet someone, police needed to know who that person was, where the meeting was supposed to happen, and whether it explained why Julie was behind the hospital shortly before 11 o'clock. But without Tina, that information remained incomplete. Then, almost 1 year after the murder, the investigation received an even more disturbing lead. In July of 1995, a driver picked up a hitchhiker near the junction of East Lancashire Road and Rainford bypass. As they approached the area where Julie had been found, the hitchhiker reportedly became extremely distressed. He told the driver that his motorcycle had broken down near the same location on the night Julie was murdered. According to the account later presented during a crime watch appeal, the hitchhiker said that he heard banging and screaming coming from a van. He approached it and opened the rear doors. Inside, he claimed he saw a young woman asking for help. Then a man appeared. The man allegedly said that the woman was his girlfriend and ordered the hitchhiker to leave. The hitchhiker walked away. Police believe this story contained details that were not publicly known at the time. The detective leading the investigation said he believed the hitchhiker had possibly been the final person to see Julie alive apart from her killer. That made him one of the most important potential witnesses in the entire investigation. Police had a description. He was believed to have been in his mid-20s with short blonde hair and a clean-cut appearance. He was thought to be from the St. Helens area and may have been traveling to Ainsdale to visit his grandfather. But police never identified him. The man who may have heard Julie's voice remained missing from the investigation. That does not mean his story was proven. Police needed to locate him, question him, and test every detail he provided. They needed to determine exactly what he saw, when he saw it, and whether the woman inside the van was Julie. But without him, they could not complete that work. And that is one of the most painful parts of this case. There were people who may have seen Julie during her final hours. There was a man behind the hospital. There was a possible sighting beside a white van. There was Tina, who called police and never called again. And there was a hitchhiker who may have confronted the killer without understanding what he was witnessing. Yet none of those leads produced the answer Julie's family needed. Years passed. New investigators reviewed the evidence, new appeals were released, and Julie's family continued asking anyone with information to come forward. In 2014, 20 years after the murder, Julie's parents released photographs from her childhood. The images showed Julie long before she became the subject of a murder investigation. Her mother, Patricia, spoke about the lasting effect of losing her daughter. She said part of her was still waiting for Julie to walk through the door. Julie's father, Albie, died without learning who had killed his daughter. But the investigation did not close. In 2019, police made another direct appeal to Tina. Officers asked her to search her conscience and contact the investigation again. They believed her information about Julie's reported meeting with a taxi driver could still help the family's fight for justice. Once again, the public appeal did not produce the breakthrough police needed. Now, in August of 2026, Merseyside Police have renewed their appeal. The message from investigators is direct. They believe that people may have known something in 1994 but remained silent because of loyalty or fear. That statement changes how we look at this case. Police are not only searching for a forgotten detail, they're asking whether someone made a deliberate decision not to speak. Perhaps a person protected a friend, a partner, or a family member. Perhaps someone was frightened of what would happen if they contacted police. Perhaps a witness convinced themselves that the information was not important. Police have not publicly identified who those people could be. They have not named Julie's killer, and nobody has been convicted of her murder. But investigators believe the answer could still be held by someone who was in Liverpool, Rainford, or St. Helens during that weekend in August 1994. 32 years is a long time. Relationships change, loyalties disappear, fear loses its power. People who once felt unable to speak may now be living completely different lives. That is why court case appeals matter. The evidence may be old, but a witness does not stop being a witness because time has passed. A person may remember a white van that disappeared after the murder. Someone may remember a man returning home unexpectedly during the early hours. A former friend may know who Julie intended to meet. A relative may have heard a confession or noticed behavior that never made sense. Those are possibilities, not established facts. But they show why police continue asking the public for help. The truth about Julie's final hours is still incomplete. We know she was seen behind the Royal Liverpool University Hospital at around 11 o'clock. We know a woman matching her description was later seen arguing with a man near a white transit van. We know Julie was discovered close to that location later the same day. We know Tina contacted police with information about a reported meeting but did not call back. And we know police spent years trying to identify a hitchhiker who claimed that he heard a woman begging for help inside a van. What we do not know is how those pieces connect. Was the man behind the hospital the same man seen beside the van? Was the woman in the van really Julie? Or was the taxi driver Tina mentioned? Why did Tina never contact the investigation again? And where is the hitchhiker who may have come face to face with the person responsible? Merseyside Police believe it is not too late to answer those questions. They are asking anyone with information, however small it appears, to contact them or speak anonymously through Crime Stoppers. Julie Finley was more than a name in an unsolved case. She was a daughter and a sister whose family spent decades waiting for justice. Her killer has never been identified. But somewhere, there may still be a person who knows why Julie never returned home. After 32 years, the question is no longer whether that person remembers. It is whether they are finally ready to speak.